screenshot it, what it said, because I thought it was kind of ironic anyway, because even what that individual said, really great drummer who's doing like complex rhythms. When I see people do things where people clearly have their focus on their work, and then other like especially street musicians that I would say should have privileges revoked. There's a big part of that. And I'll say, like, well, I'll tell you why. Because, well, look what you said about the person who's singing and playing the piano. Even the artificial intelligence was like, hold up. You know we're intelligent. You know we can figure this out. But we kind of want to see just how intelligent you are by being able to see through all the bullshit. That in all these minutes, we were only able to figure out this amount of English, and this is the English that we rate this level of ignorance if you don't understand the message. We want to point this out. That kind of event, how many times has that happened in all my chronicles? Just whether it's the same similar voice showing up, trying to crash everything. I would say, you know what? In Los Angeles, I had people tell me about the moronic activity that could go on in the streets. And I'll have a little bit of a sense, a pause to say, wait a minute, well, why are they there? We have the ability to, like, say, we could build a house pretty quick now. If you're never thinking about the times where you are upset and mad, even though you got everything in line, like for instance, there's traffic. I am just stuck in traffic. Do you know you're least likely to die? Theoretically, if you weren't even moving. Yeah, we'll get so mad about this moment that people have while driving these ballistic missiles. About a red line or a stop sign. Or about a pedestrian to saying, all right, we meet again. Best part is, your exhaust might sound like a gun, but my eyes being closed proves that you don't exist. I'll be able to stop, chill, for as long as I want like that. And it's easy. One day we might find out turbines, the shape of a wheel, the glorification of horsepower when one doesn't want to even acknowledge Krishna and Krishna's horses. It is when I say how Albert Einstein being paralyzed by what we now see today as the art of what was created then. Surrounding media, surveillance, and technology being misused, exploited and to fight against the First Amendment in this country. We already see it in countries that come out amendments. We already see how it's used. Sure, China, I love you because guess what? Sound Rover, you know I love. Sound Rover is going to turn into a mushroom. Sound Rover is going to even be something that I could say, you landed on my heavenly planet. Or I could speak to you with you not even here. Through the wind, through space, possibly through this deadly fungus that's sweeping through our country. Where before that fungus got here, there were people thinking, I have a great idea. I'm going to disrupt nature on July 4th. And then leading up into it, and then just kind of just being like, well, I'm going to be going to war, and if it's not with another country, I'll tell you this. It's happening now with Los Angeles, Washington. B. Krishna C. told me. And when I saw that and how they're barricading the areas in Washington, I was like, well, the best part about the supreme knowledge I had as my gifts and memory and experiences was there was a life where I studied the truth and the nature of truth. Because lies existed everywhere, and the nature of lies are the obvious ones. This is not a lie. None of it is. You want to see what was chilling over in that area? The thing kind of like stopped. I unplugged this. Let's see. The battery is very. Okay. I don't got a lot of time. Just go real quick. Alright, so in this area, there was these objects that you probably can't see because of the shade. M&M's. Camel. Something like strangulation. Now, I told them about these objects. This object has been chilling here right under the surveillance system for a while. How you doing? And the thing that I was telling the officers over at the other university, I was saying to them, yeah, in the fall. Yeah, I'm currently at Front Range. Yeah, I'm using electricity to document incident of these items that were there during our Sunday church. That I thought would have been at least picked up, cleaned up by now. Because it's an object of strangulation.
Oh, there's
Yeah, you should observe it. Yeah, I was wondering when it arrived there because it's not just like random trash. It's a message.
some cigarettes. What are you studying at Front Range?
Holistic health.
Holistic health.
Yeah. My yoga certification and my Reiki level 2 to 3.
Sweet. Yeah, so the reason I stopped by because I saw your, like, head, kinda.
Yeah, I was trying to show my audience what I was describing
Oh,
and saying just like the nature of it.
you're trying to get an image of it.
Yeah, I was. My battery's running low. That's why I'm like using this electricity, and I'm about to publish my last book.
For your book.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people, the reason I stopped, because it's got weird times of night, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
2 a.m.
it's like 2 a.m. and it's
Yeah.
really active right now.
Really? I feel like it's been kind of slower tonight.
No, it's been pretty active. I was actually about to comment on it. I don't know if like the restlessness of Los Angeles right now.
Yeah,
I was sensing in the communities of the unhoused
yeah,
that I was saying to one individuals who I was documenting the experience with how in the next 72 hours there's going to be a big energy shift surrounding the nature of illicit drug use to projection of being considered a homeless person. Because what we might see in the media and what we already shown with social media and now with not knowing if the video is real or not these days, I was like, well, I know a lot of people hate homeless people,
same thing on my side, right?
right? And I said the tensions remind me of George Floyd a little bit, but at a larger scale. And I was saying to him, probably the best thing to do is find a lot of time just within like nature versus like communal.
And chill out for a bit.
Yeah, and then he opened up about his meth addiction, and I was like, yeah, you don't want to be doing that because,
Doing math or opening up about it?
well, no, I'm glad he opened up in prayer to me about what his struggles are because I said, well, if you never would have opened up, someone saw us in prayer and wanted off for 20 years and wanted to see if I could split it and give him also the other amount. And he said, well, if you give me that, I'm going to end up buying methamphetamines. I said, well, I'm really happy you said that because in another life you wouldn't have disclosed that. So I was describing to him about the importance of changing one's mindset because in the next few days, I think there's going to be like what's happening in Los Angeles, I already know is happening in Denver.
I think so. Denver's pretty large, so.
I already know it's happening in New York City.
I think so.
I was already there.
You are from there?
I'm from the Northeast. And when the decriminalization of sacred plants and fungi that my generationally attuned family discovered the crimes against those who practice within the religious arts, they asked me to come to this part of Colorado to document what I believe is the health of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen you before.
I've been here for a pretty long time,
In Colorado?
about 10 years, Fort Collins specifically.
Really?
Mill City Church, I've been a member since 2018.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen you.
That's not a bad thing.
I guess I was
Personally, if you did see me, it would be at a yoga retreat more than likely.
a yoga retreat.
Yeah.
Or yoga.
Yeah, I do like
Not
corporate. Yeah,
I
yogurt
thought that's what
retreat.
you said.
Oh yeah, like NOSA. Maybe NOSA's yoga retreat.
Well, I don't know, you get back to your field.
Yeah.
I'll just get your information since, to make sure you're not trespassing here or anything for the university and stuff
Sure.
like that. What's
Yeah.
your last name?
Kullin.
I-N?
I am.
And what's your first name?
First name, spiritually, it's Spirit Krishna, Nicholas, N-I-C-H. Oh, yes.
And what's your birthday?
I am recording right now, so that could cause identity theft.
Okay, you throw some fingers up.
I'm still visible.
You do it on the side of the camera. That's information that I need.
Sure.
Hold on, just start over.
I'm 35 years in the infinite. How about that? You could do the math.
No, I know, but I have to have a day for, like, the system.
Do I need to key in the system? I mean, like,
It's
Christ.
just to look you up to make sure that you're.
Have warrants in us.
That you're not trespassing.
Okay. Sure. I'm not trespassing here. The year was 1,990. The date was March.
1,990.
Yeah, that's kind of like how we would say it.
Do you not want to give me? Are you able to like pause that and then like?
The number was 20th.
Okay.
Spring
and the year
equinox.
Was what?
The spring equinox on the 20th. The year 1,990.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the day. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to say sorry.
Do you have a New York driver's license or is it called?
I'm a Colorado resident.
I
Proud.
don't know.
That's okay. Personally, I don't even drive a vehicle. And the irony is I actually have the license to drive others through a DOT. Yeah, I was just curious. Since I have an email with my even company email about the situation, asking if at the time I was arriving to meet with my church at the beginning of our setup, I can't remember because I was performing and doing shows all day. If that was there prior to me sitting here like this, doing an upload and saying, all right, church is going to start in like 2 hours, then the objects, when I noticed it when about to start church, that just seemed off to me. And I said to myself, if I was just closed eyes resting, just waiting for the start of the day with church, and someone walked over here and maybe had intention of harm, because each one of those, all you need is chloroform, you know, just put that over my face and then strangle somebody to death, and until someone says, hey, wake up.
Church start. Or is it,
We usually start setting up around 5
p.m.
a.m.
Oh, 5 a.m.
Yeah, because our first
And
service
where's
at
that
8
church?
a.m. we start, but we have to set everything up, and people have to still rise, shower, all the works.
Did your church work with the UCA?
Yeah, Mill City, are you familiar?
No, UCA. This is the university.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
We
okay.
rent the space out. We just purchased the church space on May that we move
Oh,
into.
on May.
Yeah, it's being currently constructed.
I'm talking about this building though.
But this building specifically, yeah, we meet on Sundays. 8,
Here.
yep, 8,
Oh.
9:30, and 11, like in the auditorium.
In a room number.
No, in the auditorium.
You like rent a room.
You should come this Sunday. I think you would really enjoy it. We have a great musical ensemble. The lead singer is a great mother. And the pastor, the lead pastor, overcame what I described in my last video as terrorism. Even those who hold a gun hold the energy of that life force, even without technically even holding it. So when I discovered that individual during a time of preaching had someone try to assassinate, in a sense, the lead of a congregation, I said, you know what? He still rises and celebrates. And the irony was, before I became attuned to that knowledge, I said, when I was a child, people would tell me as a child that that would be a fate I had to overcome. And then as I discovered that that actually happened to someone who I see on Sunday, I said, people show up to the school and the same fate could happen. Then I'm sitting there saying, well, I know it won't happen because this is a heavenly planet. The irony is I could just experience what happens on those that are not. What's happening in Los Angeles is kind of like what George Floyd kind of went through, and not only that, I was the tension amongst the force.
The force.
Yeah, police force, firefighter force. EMT force, all service providers, really, in the sense of taxpayers.
True.
Even when I say, my holy herb is a heavily taxed item, and I really put a lot of prayer into the things that we put money into. And yeah,
I hear you. It sounds like you're doing good work. But yeah, you're good to go. I just wanted to chat with you, kind of figure out what was going on and everything with you over here, because we have a lot of people that just hang out and camp over here.
yeah, that's kind of why I need to know who put that there.
I hear you.
We got to go through the footage because
It looks like there's some people that have been hanging out back there, so
I kind of
the
want to
area
know.
more.
I kind of want to know who's been chilling there,
I don't know.
or most of all, I know why that item. I know what those items mean. Yeah,
All right.
it's kind of like
I know you said you come in here for like church in the building at sometimes on Sundays, but because it's like a weird hour, and I know
yeah,
they probably don't like
sure,
want you using their electricity too.
sure.
I know.
It's just sad because in the area of Pearl Street where someone could have just been charging their laptop, could have got thrown a mocktail cocktail at them, like burned to death.
But that's like illegal standpoint.
I know, but
that's what
firefighters
services-
say, having outlets helps prevent fires. And I'm like, are you guys trying to say that someone will light me on fire if I use what taxpayers pay for public Wi-Fi? And, it's the truth. I'm just saying, like,
Someone told you that?
my audience is actually more at the hour where they're rising at this hour.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of frustrating when even businesses close at, like, this hour.
Yeah. No, people are just sleeping.
Well,
But you're working still.
enemy of God is a normal man.
Well, I'll give you my card if you want to just kind of,
Sure.
like I said, they probably don't want you to use that, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can try to clear the area before people start to get here in the morning. You know what I mean?
Sure. Let me do this upload because Christ, that's the whole point of here.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty.
And we already spoke for like 10 minutes.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
Hope you figure out what's going on.
Well, that's kind of what you guys are meant for. We put this. Yeah, we put that camera there. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of shocked that after telling people in the kindness lounge the kindness of the nature of me trying to explain it in public, it's kind of like, okay, why is it still there? Are people afraid to touch it now? I wouldn't want to touch it. I think that thing killed somebody already. If you want me to be honest with you, I'll fingerprint it.
Fingerprints aren't that successful.
Well, then I'll ask someone to inject it with the COVID-19 virus and see if the person starts having side effects.
Oh, man. That's a little crazy there.
Well, I'll just cough on it a few times because I already got 4.
Anymore, right?
Well, we got the fungus, so you gotta be good to nature.
Alrighty.
See you later.
See ya.
Thank you, China. You guys are up right now. Funny thing is, I bet most of the apparel might be made in the USA, but before that, it was made all around the world. Where are you made from, Kevin? All right. Well, I believe what was nice though is that the cameo officer was able to essentially be able to say, well, we know Spirit's birthday, and I'm like, it might be on social media, so like, joke's on you. The funny thing is though, there's outlets everywhere, and I would have been just chilling, like maybe at a park, just saying, all right, I'm gonna work in nature, talk to the animals, figure out how do we make the American people not keep rising into chaos. Well, everybody's going to be talking about what's going on around the world, especially when it's happening to the angels. And just have a sense that it's kind of like in like programmed of what life could be with the Avengers. Well, I think it's gonna be like, well, happens there, happens everywhere, kind of thing. So, to whomever is in the United States of America that likes to check out anything on their telephone device and maybe on SoundCloud or YouTube or wherever you might have seen this video or heard me, I am advising you to say to all types of fear, Hare Krishna. Because, well, you definitely can sense that death left the body for everything. There's power in a pure breath. You'll be shocked. You'll say, I said it in my mind. I'll be like, your nostrils actually whispered it. It is 1 Krishna 59 a.m. It is possibly about to reach 1 o'clock in Los Angeles, maybe. And I kind of just want you guys to know that I don't believe that the two types of drugs that exist in the world that are more potent, deadly than what most of you, I would say, overcame already. You overcame the creation of what they wanted to create to destroy you. I'll say that one more time. Before you maybe even got here, they tried to kill your parents. And convince you that you live in hell. And convince you that a light box, like really thin, and then they said, look how tiny this is. Because we were once huge poops of energy. Now we figured out a way to zap the birds and everything in between, and then we get right to the source where those little tiny Hare Krishnas won't even know what to do. Nope, not gonna happen. Hasn't happened for a pretty long time, actually. It's pretty fun. And when I see it happening to other people, I can't help what to say. You might not be doing methamphetamines, but you're doing the most modern day drug. And sure, you might have found me on it, but I'm the guy who gets you out of it. I'm the kind of guy that's like, what was that guy like? He was like, hey, you, hey, hey, you, I know you. All right, awesome. Glad you know me. You bread. The thing is, like, I'm telling you, like, if you're making what you say bread with that thing, your bread be getting poisoned. Real bread. Be getting real poisoned. And I'll be saying to the old eggs, hey, eggs, ain't sunny side up. You got your phone up on those eggs. Radiation eggs. Nuclear eggs coming through. Don't worry, baby, I've been incubating my sperm with the latest apples. Yeah, I got like 5 phones in my pocket. like, a lot of lives. I'll be like, no, you don't. Got a lot of cancer. Cancer just growing. And I'm like, I'll be doing chakra energy to my chakras, especially down where my pocket pants will be. I'll be like, whoa, you might have been chilling there when the flip phone was rare. Oh man, Razor, you were trying to disguise yourself as an iPhone. Energy was razor sharp leaving the body. Ah! I got circumcision. No one knows what that pink razor did to me. Nope. I be telling them, like, you don't know what that rope could do to somebody? That rope is meant to kill somebody. That ain't no with telling me that that's the rope to heaven. That ain't that. First of all, it ain't white. Not like a beautiful white thread saying, like, even if this person who wants to leave this trash here and say some other person pick it up, I don't believe in God. I'm going to use it right by the camera just to show people I kill people in the city, and I'm going to show them that I am able to do all these things because they just don't care. I'm going to leave my objects over here. This is the thing I ate. This is what I killed the person with, and I actually finished the entire packs of these camels. Could have been the cause of it. And I was like, you know what's funny? It might have been the cause of it. Some people be thinking, what? How? Wait, what? Reefer madness? No, it was tobacco poisoned. And the thing is, the poison is like me saying, it's no different than seeing a Native American looking person on like American Spirit, and then people coming up to me and saying, do you have a cigarette? And I'm like, that sounds like an ill thought. No, I don't have a cigarette. And if I do smoke, it is ironic that I do find the only one that I feel most ethical is that one, because they don't poison the tobacco leaf. And I bring people back to saying, remember the plant, because other people are just still stuck on the chemicals. And I can tell you that the M&M's chemicals are telling me this person wasn't being cool eating the M&Ms. They were maybe mad at the mRNAs. The mRNAs be saying, we gonna whack somebody. We'll whack them with a caramel cold brew flavor. Drinking their coffee, going to church. And I'm gonna be just waiting in the bushes. Waiting in the bushes. I'm gonna be waiting in the bushes for those Christians. Oh boy, oh Lord, I'm waiting in the bushes for the Christians, especially for that Hare Krishna Christian. I'm just gonna wait in the bushes for that one. And then they realized with all that demonic thought that they died. They were like, okay, I'm just gonna leave these objects here. I was possibly thinking about killing somebody. Then I was like thinking, well, I kind of killed myself in the process. So I'm just going to leave it here. And yeah, these are bad to smoke. And then probably peaced out. M&M's just like, are we all on the count or did he eat the bag? And then the best part was, is like, I tell the officer, like, hey, officer, you were there. You saw it. Kind of, you saw me talking to the officer. I'm like, officer, do you want me to show them? Here, for the amount of people who are like, I want to know because you gave him all this stuff. This is the officer. I don't know if it's backwards or not. But yeah, I'm sure screen print happened. And people be like, you did great, Candace. And other people be like, Candace, who left the stuff there? Who left the stuff there? Why can't Spirit and all the rest of the people in this city that is apparently ranked the best can't use electricity? And I'll be saying, I had to tell someone who was constantly told a homeless person that they finally convinced themselves to feel somehow accepted in this planet by all the other people, and then they said, fine, I am homeless. Just like back in the day when people were like, you're a nigger, you're a nigger, you're a nigger, you're a nigger, you're a nigger. And then the person's like, I'm no nigger. What is a nigger? And then I'll be like saying, people from India will be thinking, you're speaking Sanskrit wrong. And then other people will be saying like, you can't even eat shit or do anything in this land. And then they'll be saying, it's God's land. I'll be like, wait a minute. That's what I am. And then they thought they could kill them. Little did I know, we resurrect. So like, whatever happens in Los Angeles, you got angels there. And I know that the air is different. All the way from up here, 4,000 feet up. Los Angeles, you're kind of like sea level. So when the ashes and the flames of the cars blowing up and the ancestors are like, this is bullshit. They're giving these people the credit and saying that this car blew up by a homeless nigger. They didn't even want to acknowledge the fact that we just got so fed up being in this engine that we just figured out a way to access the ancient energy of Acme. The spark plug turned the engine on? No, we were already on fire before we left the driveway. So whenever I speak about the nature of pharmaceuticals, and when they said to the freaking public on the television, on the radio, and all these things, where the person would be like speaking like a human, and then robot voice comes through saying, I'm the world's fastest speaking being on the planet. Blah 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 blah. Look at this guy play golf. Blah 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 and death. Okay, now launch Little Rascals, and it's actually us telling you why the parent or the grandparent who maybe first got the television realizes they're watching YouTube on a Roku. And back in the day, it was like maybe you were watching like baseball or something, and it was like, or soap opera, I don't know. I only knew those possible things. Life was kind of like that, and then I realized baseball is a sham. You know, the truth is that, like, why the hell does it exist? You say it's the greatest sport ever, and then people say American football is the greatest sport ever. I'm like, you want to know what the greatest sport ever? No sport. No sport that has competition. When music started feeling like a sport, like one big old competition, I said, we are going to have mental health problems without beating ourselves in the head with another person. We're just going to be consciously colliding into the abyss. Many of us are singing into it already. And I believe I could fly. It became something that now people are like, he's on the Diddy Files. I'm like, Michael Jordan hung out with Donald Duck, and Donald Duck used to have a swastika. Now LeBron James can maybe understand the level of kingship that the tribe of AE in the Bible once said. What do you think? I think so. The tribe of AE was kind of like the whole topic during the animation of Space Jam with LeBron James. And we were to follow just like the nature of technology, how things kind of developed, and I'm like, news broke out, people be moving their phones with the thumbs, thinking with their thumbs. I'm like, you know what's so funny? Like your thumb never really goes up. Never like thumbs up. Look at that. I like this. Thumbs up. Now, the moment I was like, I'm not thumbing up really anything in this thing. All right, let's go on Microsoft Edge. It's like living on the edge. Okay, Microsoft Edge. Before you realize that you could choose your home page or whatever, you got like, all right, about 5 seconds to give me the most traumatic type of crap that you could put into my face. Great. And I studied like how these algorithms would just go, bloop, here you go, take it or leave it. And even if you leave it, it's still stored somewhere in the mind. And if one doesn't practice divine mind, I definitely know the overdraft fees and the demonic one. And you'll be overthinking so much in your life. And when I was like telling people who I know are constantly on their phones or observing just everybody on their phones, and I'm like we're all, except for maybe like me and the people that they say they can't even afford one, or they would be like, if they have a phone, they're being monitored. They're like prisoners. And it's like, no. I could sense when the times changed and they were like, the Yankees look like the Holocaust people now. Huh. Do you really want to play for the Yankees? Because, you know, the striped pajamas are kind of like the things that I'm saying, like, what in the world are we thinking right now? We're not thinking right now. We're reacting. We're reacting on, like, the fact that I believe pharmaceutical companies and social media figured out a way to create social chaos and genetic chaos, and some people are just trapped in it. And life, when you realize when I'm not trapped in it, is being able to say, okay, did you know that this isn't bad actually for you? And you gotta just breathe correctly. And they're like, what's not bad for you? I'll say, breathing is not bad for you. Breathe. Breathe. Just breathe. Breathe. Okay, great. Because you were taking on all this stress and you weren't even like breathing. And it's because like when you see something on a device that gives instant like, this is what's going on. I saw what happened in Palestine and Gaza. And then I'll read in my Bible, Pal Krishna List Krishnastine, and I'll be saying, they don't put Krishna in Palestine. I don't know why. I kind of keep reminding that. And then I'll say, Israel doesn't have, like, possibly a leader that is a pure devotee, and that's possibly why. And most of all, the planet isn't acting pure. How could it? We're attacking it every day. going back to the vehicles, Albert Einstein, black holes, and like the invisible world, like a telephone line zapping out everything that we can't see. It's like saying I gotta get somewhere to point A to point B, and then B becomes black hole. What I mean by that is like no different than we could somehow say I don't believe in God, but I could believe in a butterfly. I could believe a butterfly could flap its wings, and then a hurricane shows up. The butterfly effect. I'm like, we got some big butterflies flying around. Big old butterflies. And we got those butterflies that'll be showing up in the sky, and I'm like, there was a time where I used to look up from my window, and I would say, I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna freaking wait forever. If it feels like forever, I'll just be like I'm in the infinite. That's why I just gotta remind myself these finite type of things shut up. And there was a plane. I'll be waiting forever for the plane. I'll be like, I'll see it. I'll see the lines. I'll be like, that's not a cloud. It's like a booger. And someone drew an X. And I'll then wait to see what will happen. I'll be like, everyone's busy doing other things. I'm just going to just see where this thing goes. And I'll wait. I'll just be like, this thing is not going anywhere. It's just like smeared there, stuck there. And then there was a time that I remember back in the year 1998. I was like telling my little sister, those aren't clouds. I've been here for a while. I've been looking at this thing, and I fell kind of from a high place. And God tells me a lot of cool things. That's not a cloud. And I'll wait. And sometimes it would be there the next day. And I'll be like, that's weird. Years go by, decades go by, and we're talking about manipulating of the atmosphere. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, do people really like people in the Caribbean? Because when I be telling people in Afro-Caribbean, Spaniard, Native American, like, I don't know, hurricane season kind of gives us sometimes a sense of the mountain people saying, like, what are you about? It is, strong winds, and I'll be feeling the wind blowing from the mountain. I'm like, this is a strong wind. If you don't have a strong house, it could blow your house down. And I would know. My genetic memory is pretty strong. And when you think about, wait a minute, when God maybe needed to bring something through, there was a pretty good heads up system where, well, no one was really hateful or thinking to play God and making all these godlike changes. And then, well, what would happen if then the world was like, sure, butterfly could make a hurricane, but then we were doing the math of the amount of air miles, and then we did the math of all the cars driving, and we actually compared that to the butterfly population and how many flaps they could do. And it actually seems like on top of that, these classified, not so classified documents could also be like part of the Epstein files. They're like, these people were okay with also these things happening, and irony is the ones who had the private islands where it's just a front and it's just this giant tunnel to this underground city, Atlantis. Never would have known existed. the people up on top are like, I thought hurricane season was over. Because the truth is, I believe it was over a long time ago and it's just been manufactured. When it was around time where I was thinking like, I kind of want to maybe go to school for architectural design and say, I think artificial intelligence can really save a level of time of engineering alongside 3D printing and God-given faith. And people who live within an area where people want to throw everything they got at it, well, they could say, God gave us this. You're not that God that we thought you were anymore. You were just a man that was an enemy to God's children. As one loud butterfly flies through 24/7 like catalytic butterfly eater. Blur, 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 blur. On top of 4,000 feet, I don't think it's going to do anything. Meanwhile, the tiniest insect on top of a mountain could apparently create a devastation in another part of this planet. And I'll say, who came up with this theory? I'll say a scientist. Imagination, I would say first. God creates that. So, am I using my imagination on these mystery objects over here? Do we have a possible, alibi to why I'm turning into the level of what I say my Sundays when I rise and celebrate in this church is like, what are we going to be more like? What do we rise and celebrate about? We rise and celebrate to be more like our Heavenly Father, our Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, and all the lives lived. There was a moment where my pastor would call me Nick, and I was like, I know why. Because you remember in the 20s how horrific the world treated an individual that didn't want to acknowledge victory for the people, no different than those who did not want to acknowledge the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. As Christians, quote unquote. It was only Jesus Christ and that's it. Maybe just only Jesus. Some people were actually anti-Christ. And I'm like, nah. You're different. Then this whole nationalism thing came through. And I'm like, I believe that religion It's like Nationalism Faith League or the National Football League. Because it is kind of at the level where I'm like, what would happen if this fungus outbreak goes bad? What will happen if possibly when civil unrest meets a organic and inorganic case study of lives that put their life on jeopardy with systematic racism and algorithms that fueled it, and then discrediting people like myself, censoring us so much that Denmark and Germany and all the places that also has a library of my media catalog outside the United States of America, or outside the deep state of Colorado, or outside of the nature of what even exists being Earth. It's the nature of what exists now. This now is no different than when I say there's another now where someone spent all this time on Minecraft creating a death clock, where the theoretics of one actually being there for watching the video just to see if the freaking universe is actually gonna die. I'll say whoever that person is would even know that if they're the last person that can actually watch it and say, all right, I maintained a server that just keeps count of this finite time, apparently. Before all the humans died, it accumulated this amount of views, it accumulated this amount of advertisement money, it accumulated this amount of economies from the very game into the very nature of what those people purchased for merchandise and what those people did for their lives, and how it even created generations of beings that wanted to look like blockheads. Instead of saying, you are not a blockhead, you're a god. You're God's children. You were manipulated into thinking that you coexist into a universe that will die, be dead by all these black holes. Sometimes watching that video could give someone a complete existential crisis, where I would like look at the comments and I'll see people exhibiting the existential crisis, where you see a timestamp and it'll be like kind of marking their time, saying I'm here, and then the video's been up for a while, so like maybe going by and people were like, I am here again, I'm still alive. And I say, even if you believe in this theory, why are you worrying about dying in like 10 years then? You technically are going to have a really long life. In the reincarnation process, hi, caramba. But then, not many people could get their head around that. And I'll say, like, all right, well, even if I was the last person waiting on the clock, telling all the black holes, hey, you don't get any blacker, or I'll start calling you what they used to call the black, because the blacks, you might actually turn into some color, and then boom, light appears, and then people be like, whoa, I thought we're all dying by black holes. It just turned out to be the multiverse.